Hello everybody, welcome back. Good to see you. Thanks for coming by. Today we're talking all about Shanghai Disneyland, getting there, tickets, what the guest behavior is like, etc. My name is Derek. I just got back from Shanghai Disney, March of 2024, and I am here to report back and let you know about my experience. If you're new here, welcome. If you want to keep up with me daily, follow me on Instagram. I am posting every day my next trip, my experiences in the park, so come hang out with me there if you enjoy what you see. So Shanghai Disney, let's start with pre-arrival. What can you do before you even take your flight there? I personally booked directly through Disney, the Shanghai Disney website. I know you can use other websites to get discounts. I personally just went directly through Disney and I purchased my stay at a Toy Story hotel. I stayed a Monday through a Thursday. At that time, they had a discount, I believe 20% off if you stayed 2 or more days. Theme park tickets are not included with your hotel, but they are guaranteed to hotel guests. So if you're staying at one of the Disneyland hotels, you're guaranteed entry to the park. So what I did is I simply booked my hotel, and then once I checked in, I bought my tickets. This also should be noted that I have been to the Toy Story Hotel and Shanghai Disney once before in 2019, so this wasn't my first experience. Regarding tickets, ticket prices are date-based. You can purchase a single-day ticket or a full-day ticket. When I was here in 2019, there was a half-day ticket option. I'm not sure if that is still a thing. If you do a 2-day ticket, make sure that you're ready to go 2 days in a row, because once you use the first day, the next day you have to use your second ticket. You can't wait 2 days and then go back. Like I said, tickets are based on date and how busy the park is expected to be. For 2 days, it was about $140, and that was for a non-peak or high demand day. For a single day, it's between $65 and $80 for a normal to slightly busy day, and then the prices go up from there. For my hotel, I ended up booking 3 nights at the Toy Story Hotel. This was $753, and that included a discount, and I opted in for breakfast as well. I did in the end add another day at the end of my trip, so I ended up staying 4 days, but that ended up being a totally separate booking. When I booked my hotel and breakfast, the breakfast did say character buffet, but I did not see any characters at my buffet. I believe there are usually characters you can meet, but maybe I just missed them. If you're thinking about splurging a little and you want to go to the Disneyland hotel, that's going to start at around $330 to $380 for your more simple rooms. I was also just in Hong Kong Disney. I posted a video all about my experience there. Comparing hotel prices, Hong Kong Disney was much more affordable. Shanghai is much more expensive. Even Toy Story Hotel, which is their cheaper option, was more expensive than when I stayed at the Disneyland Hotel in Hong Kong, which is their most expensive option. Let's talk about apps that you should have on your phone before you arrive in China. The first I would say is download Alipay. This is an app to pay vendors in the stores, pay for your food. Inside this app, it has a lot more options as well. I believe there's a map option. I believe there is a taxi option, but generally it's going to be used for paying in stores. This is a very important app to have because a lot of the shops and areas in Shanghai, they did not take my Apple Pay. Cash is also not always accepted, so just have Alipay on hand, ready to go. Obviously, you're going to want the Shanghai Disney app, but you also need to make sure to download a separate PhotoPass app. The Shanghai Disney app does not have PhotoPass in it, so you need a separate app. So make sure you download that before you get there and set that all up so that if you want to get your pictures, you'll have that ready. Another pretty important thing is to have a VPN ready to go. So in China, a lot of American or Western apps and businesses are blocked by the Great Firewall. China does not allow Google, doesn't allow Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, etc. So a lot of social media sites, or news is not available to you. You need to use a VPN, which is an app that'll basically say that your location is outside of China, so you can access these apps and information. I use BetterNet VPN just because it was free. I have tried a few others. I would recommend just looking around. I used the free version, like I said, of BetterNet. It worked okay. It was very slow, so posting on social media was incredibly difficult and a little frustrating, but it worked to check my emails, send texts, etc. So it's better than nothing. There is Wi-Fi in the park and at the hotel that worked quite well, so you're able to access Shanghai Disney apps, so you're good to go there. But to access the Shanghai Disney Wi-Fi, you need a Chinese phone number to receive a text prompting you to connect to the Wi-Fi. So what I did, I had a cast member enter their phone number on my phone, and then when they got the text, they just approved it so that the Wi-Fi was activated on my phone. The Wi-Fi was very, very good actually. Coming and going throughout the park, it automatically reconnected. I didn't have to re-enter a phone number or approve of anything. It just reconnected super easy, so that was great. But if you want to access your social media or your Gmail, etc., you're going to need a VPN. So do some research, set that all up before you get there, and you'll be fine. My last suggestion is if you're considering going into the city, is download the Metroman Shanghai app. So this is a app that shows you all about the trains and subways and how to get there, how much it's going to cost, because Google Maps is not available. This is a much more reliable app. It'll tell you exactly how to get here and there. Otherwise, you can have the hotel get you a taxi. That would also work, but it's going to be much more expensive. And the subways and trains do work very, very well. Before we get to China, let's also talk about visas. I'm going to just talk about being a US citizen. If you are from a different country, check those local rules because they could be completely different. If you're heading to mainland China as a US citizen, make sure that 1, your passport has at least 6 months left of its expiration date, and 2, consider getting a Chinese visa. Now, I did do some research and it did look like that there is a current exemption for US citizens for up to 144 hours or 6 days of being in China as almost a layover. So you need to have a separate flight booking out of China already ready to go. You can't just fly into China and then not have plans to leave. Like I said, I was in China in 2019 and I have a 10-year visa for China. So thankfully I don't have to deal with any of this. I would say do a lot of research before you get there because you can only apply for this 6-day visa stay once you arrive. So if things go wrong, you could be just sent home. I would just do the extra work, get your Chinese visa, and then you wouldn't have to worry at all about how long to stay and if you even going to be able to enter the country. Flying into Shanghai, make sure you're flying into the Pudong airport. This is much, much closer than the other airport in Shanghai. It's only about 20 to 25 minutes to get to the resort via taxi. I am vegan, so before I arrived, I made sure to email the resort. I asked them if they had any vegan options at the Toy Story Hotel breakfast. They did forward my message on to the restaurant. I didn't really bother to follow up. I was just figured I would find some things to eat. But once I arrived for my breakfast, they had all the notes down about who I was and what my diet required, and they walked me through the entire buffet, showing me what I could eat, what was vegan, what wasn't. So that was really, really great. So if you have any allergies or dietary restrictions, email the hotel ahead of time and they seem to be very, very on top of things and ready to help you. So you fly into China. What next? At the airport, you'll head over to a self finger scan kiosk. Scan all your fingers and your hands, and then you fill out a arrival form showing where you're staying, how long you're staying, where you arrived from, and then you head through immigration. Now, unlike Hong Kong, Shanghai doesn't speak much English. Yes, it's an international city, but it doesn't seem like a lot of people speak English. So if you're using Google Translate, make sure you download the languages offline so that you can use them even when you're not online, because like I said, China blocks Google, but you can still access the languages if they're downloaded on your phone. So I use Google Translate quite a bit. Getting to the hotel, I used a taxi. I walked over to the taxi stand. I followed the signs throughout the airport, and they're very regulated. So you get in line, you tell them where you want to go, and then they set you up with the right taxi. I told them I was going to the Toy Story Hotel. We kind of had a brief communication to figure out where I wanted to go, but in the end, he understood. I would say if you're going somewhere else less obvious than Disney, make sure you have the address in Chinese. A lot of people will not speak English and they're used to Chinese characters. Passing out of the airport, you do stop at a security stand and they ask you where you're going, making sure everything's legal and good to go. I stayed at the Toy Story Hotel. This was my second stay there, and I really, really like it. It is very close to the parks. It's about a 10-minute shuttle. Your other option would be the Disneyland Hotel, which is much, much more grand. The Toy Story Hotel is definitely more family and kid orientated. I really enjoy it. It's not too overwhelming or heavy-handed, but if you want something very grand, a little more adult, Disneyland Hotel is incredible. It's all very French, lots of fine art, lots of big gardens to roam around in, but both options are very, very close to the park. And if you're staying at one hotel and want to visit the other, the hotels offer a shuttle bus to each one, so you can visit them, have lunch, and explore. Getting to the park now. Like I said, there are shuttle buses that take you to the park from the hotel. The shuttles start at 7 a.m. and they come every 10 to 15 minutes. As a hotel guest, you do get an hour of early entry, and when I was there, the parks opened at 7:30 for hotel guests. So if you want to get there at 7:30, you're going to need to be in line before 7 a.m. at that bus stand. I got there pretty early, and there was still probably about a half hour wait for me, so I didn't even get on the bus until 7:30. If you're staying at the Disneyland Hotel, you can have an easy walk about 10 minutes from the hotel over the lake directly into Disneytown, which is their version of Disney Springs or downtown Disney. You also could possibly walk from the Toy Story Hotel, but you do have to cross a few intersections and roads, and it was a little more confusing and way less direct, so I just opted to get in line for the shuttle each time. I will say that they really pack those shuttles to the brim in the morning, so just be prepared for a tight fit. If you have a stroller, be ready to pack it up because people want to get on very quick because it's such a high demand time to get into the park early. If you're staying offsite, they do offer early entry for you as well. It's about $26 to purchase that. As a hotel guest, you have an exclusive entrance, which is so nice because the main entrance of Disneyland in the morning is quite hellish. It's extremely packed full, really busy, and regarding guest behavior, which we will get on later, it can be very stressful. So that separate hotel entrance is invaluable and totally worth staying there alone. This entrance is to the far left of the main gate. You have to walk all the way through Disneytown, and the shuttle drop-off is actually very close, so it's just a quick walk over to the hotel entrance. There's people directing you where to go. Make sure you have your tickets, your hotel keys, and you have your passport. The cast members at the hotel specifically told me to bring my passport. Thankfully, the cast members at security never asked to see it, but I would just have it on hand just in case. One very important thing to know is that unlike at Hong Kong Disneyland, no tripods are allowed. They will take any sort of tripod or selfie stick away. They'll put it in a little bag, they'll take your number down, and then at the end of the day, you can come back and get it. Believe me, I had personal experience with that. I didn't realize that it wasn't allowed after being at Hong Kong Disney and there being very much free reign on selfie sticks and tripods. They took mine away. They ended up putting my phone number on it, but when I went back to retrieve it, it was gone. In the end, they ended up transferring me money to cover the expense of how much I paid for my tripod, which was very nice, but it was very stressful. And after about an hour, they finally figured out that my item was gone. They must have given it away, and they reimbursed me. So just leave your tripods at home. Don't even try. So after you enter the hotel exclusive entrance, which by the way is open to all guests after 10 or 11 a.m., but in the morning it's only allowed for hotel guests. After you enter, you're going to be in between Tomorrowland, which is on the left entering the park, and Mickey Avenue, which is their version of Main Street, USA. Let's quickly go over the layout because it is slightly different. So if you're entering the main gate, you're going to see the train station, which doesn't actually have a train. It's just a mock train station, but it is really beautiful. You're going to get your huge floral face. When I was there, it was Judy Hopps for Zootopia. And then you walk underneath the train station and you enter Mickey Avenue, which, like I said, is kind of like a Toontown version of Main Street USA. It's very familiar, but much bigger. It allows for way more guests and easier guest flow. Straight ahead after Mickey Avenue, you'll find Gardens of Imagination, which is their hub land. It's an entire land to itself. It actually has a few attractions like Dumbo and the Carousel. It's very vast and huge. It's very beautiful. To the right of the Gardens of Imagination, you'll find Adventure Isle, which is their version of Adventureland. Going northeast from there, in the upper right corner of the park, you'll find Treasure Cove, which is kind of like their replacement of Frontierland. It's a whole pirate's land. Behind the castle, you'll find Fantasyland, and behind Fantasyland, you'll find the brand new Zootopia Land. It's super amazing. To the left of Fantasyland, in the northwest, you'll find Toy Story Land. And then on the left side of the park, like I said, you'll find Tomorrowland. Once you enter the park, you can start booking your Premier Access. Yes, Shanghai Disneyland also has Premier Access you need to pay for, but make sure you connect to Wi-Fi first. Like I said, you'll need a Chinese phone number or someone to help you with that. Talk to a cast member and they should set that up for you. Premier Access, you need to be in the park to book these. You can't book these pre-arrival, and they do sell out. So if you do want to make sure to get them, get there early and pay for it quickly. Price does vary by day, kind of like Genie Plus here, and it is expensive. It was around $160 for 8 attractions and $112 for 6 attractions. And they do have a variety of bundles to choose from, so some will be more for the thrill rides and some will be more for all ages family ride. You can also pay for individual attractions. Instead of buying bundles, that is an option. Considering a single day ticket is between $60 and $80, the Premier Access is almost twice as much as a single day ticket, so keep that in mind. Is it worth it? Yes. For one day, I think it is worth it at least. Because the lines can be so stressful with the guest behavior, I would say book it, enjoy your full day, and then maybe take it easy on any other day. You also can book your PhotoPass when you get in the park as well. It's around $41 for PhotoPass, and my God, they really, really push PhotoPass. They will take your picture and almost immediately try to walk you over to the stand to purchase PhotoPass if you haven't already. So if you're going to get it early in the morning. Cast members will gladly help you out. They'll gladly try to sign you up for PhotoPass. They also will offer to take your picture with your phone, but not quite as much as in Hong Kong Disney. Rope drop strategy. What should you do first? My recommendation for things to do first would be head out to Zootopia. Zootopia actually has a wait just to enter the land. I've seen it up to 60 to 90 minutes just to enter the land. That's not including the time to wait into the attraction. So if you're thinking you want to do Zootopia, head there first. You'll walk right into the land, and you shouldn't have to wait more than 20 to 30 minutes for the main attraction, which is called Zootopia Hot Pursuit. If you're alone, they do have a single rider, so you can head over to the other side of the attraction near the exit, and it was a 5-minute wait for me all morning, so I could do it multiple times. After going through the queue and seeing all the amazing details, I could do the attraction again and again, but I have to wait only 5 minutes. Another attraction that consistently has super long waits is surprisingly their version of Soaring over the horizon. I don't know why this attraction consistently had 90 minutes or more starting within an hour of park opening, and it was the one attraction I saw that consistently sold out of Premier Access. But they really, really love that attraction in Shanghai Disney, so I would say that's another great option to rope drop. It's very similar to the other Soaring, except for the queue and the theming, but the actual attraction is basically the same except for the ending, which is unique to Shanghai Disney. Another great option is if you want to do the original Tron. Tron originated in Shanghai Disney, it is in Tomorrowland, and that also gets a pretty long line. When I was there in 2019, they had a single rider line actually. This trip, that was gone. They now have a Premier Access line so you can pay to skip the line, but no single rider. They do have a Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, which also, like in the US, gets very long lines. It's exactly the same, unless you really want to ride it or don't have it in your home park. I would say skip this, but it is a good option to rope drop. They do have a single rider line for Seven Dwarfs, but it often is just as long as the regular line. My last suggestion would be the Challenge Trails. This is a really unique attraction to Shanghai Disney. This is located in Adventure Isle. It's actually kind of like an obstacle course. It's really hard to describe, but you have to take your phone, your wallet, everything off of your body, and they put a harness on you with a rope that's attached to a metal beam above you, and you just kind of walk through the trails. And it's basically, like I said, an obstacle course. You can walk through holes in the ground. There's going to be water and river and waterfalls. It's extremely cool. You could rope drop Soarin' and then head over to Challenge Trails. That would be a great morning. One other suggestion I would have once you get into the park is book Mickey's Storybook Adventure. This is a stage performance that you can only get if you sign up for a standby pass via the Shanghai Disney app. Just follow the directions on the app. You'll book it for your time to enter. But what I can say is be prepared for mass crushing crowds entering the queue. It is really, really intense. It was really, really pushy. People were just surging forward for a good spot. only to wait in line for another 45 minutes. I really enjoyed the show, but I would not do it twice, only because of how anxiety inducing these crowds can be. It's really, really intense. You need to be prepared. But it's a really cool show. Do it once, but just be ready that it might be kind of suffocating. It might be a little stressful. If you have high anxiety with crowds, I would probably say just skip this. Or you could possibly see if there's a premiere access for it. Maybe you could skip the line and not have to deal with any of that. While we're on that subject of guest behavior, let's go over that. It's pretty pushy, it's very crowded. There's counterfeit sellers both in line at the entrance of the park. On my last trip, I did see some children urinating in places that were not the toilets, such as along the paths, even in queues. This was not super common, but you need to be ready for that potentially happening. Overall, it can be really overwhelming and anxiety inducing, but it's not going to ruin your trip. You just need to be prepared. And I was alone, which I think made it a little bit worse. I think if you're in a group, it's a little bit easier to hold your own, have your own space, because they do like to try to push beside you in lines and get ahead of you. So you need to have a way to take up a lot of space so that people can't get by you. So it can be a little stressful, but just do your best. Like I said, Premier Access is a wonderful option. Then you don't have to deal with any of that, but it is very expensive. Rope dropping is a great alternative as well because there's going to be very short lines and you're going to get in and out of queues very quickly. So rope dropping, Premier Access, being in a group, those are all solutions. But I don't want to scare you. It's not horrible. It's not going to ruin your trip, but it is a reality. It's just a very different culture, and you kind of have to go with the flow and do your best. Let's go over character meets. The main character meets in this park is Duffy and Friends. If you're not familiar with Duffy, look him up online. You're going to see a whole lot of him. He was even more popular in Hong Kong Disney. In Shanghai, it was almost 50-50 Duffy and Friends and Mickey and Friends. So Duffy and Friends meet all along Mickey Avenue, which, like I said, is Main Street USA there. Their lines do cut pretty early, so if you want to meet them, you need to get in line early. Mickey, however, has his own building, so you can enter all evening, all morning, and the lines do get pretty short. I saw it down to 5 to 10 minute waits, unlike Duffy and Friends, which consistently seem to have a high wait. Shopping and dining. As you may expect, Shanghai has plenty of shopping opportunities. Their merch is incredible. Similar to Hong Kong Disney, there weren't really any Loungefly bags. There weren't a lot of magnets or pins, but they do have a ton of ears. They have a ton of Zootopia merch. They have a whole lot of Duffy and Friends merch. A lot of plush, of course, a lot of cute keychains. And their clothing is really, really cute. It's really great stuff. It's just very different. I really enjoyed shopping. I found a lot of things I would not have found in the US parks, so that was really fun. There's quite a bit of dining options as well. Each land has at least 1 or 2 places to eat. For vegan options, I found mainly one location that I went back to over and over because I know it was pretty safe. It was basically just rice and vegetables and some tofu. Regarding shopping and dining at the hotel, the Toy Story Hotel has 2 dining options. They have the Sunnyside Market, which is more like a tiny quick service kiosk. They have baked goods, they have cookies, they even have some smoothies, I believe. That was open pretty late. I believe that closed around 10 or 11, so that was nice for late night snacks or for quick snacks in the morning. Their main sit down is called the Sunnyside Cafe, and like you would expect, both of these are Toy Story themed. I booked the Sunnyside Cafe breakfast for my entire trip. I ended up only going for 1 day. Keep this in mind. If you book the Sunnyside Market breakfast and you want to rope drop the park and then go back to the hotel for breakfast, that's not going to work for you. What I discovered is while breakfast goes until 11 at the hotels, buses don't start running back to the hotels until 11 a.m. as well. So you either need to get a taxi back to the hotel or walk back to the hotel. So on 1 day I did sleep in and enjoyed a little bit of breakfast in the morning and then went to the park late. So keep that in mind. You can't really rope drop and have breakfast in the morning. Regarding how expensive everything is, I would say the hotels were about the same as moderate to deluxe hotels. Food and merch was a bit cheaper, not by a whole lot, but it was a little bit less money than at the US parks. Let's go over what are the must-dos of Shanghai Disney and what you can skip. If you are limited on time and need to prioritize attractions, here's what you should do for sure. I would say do the challenge trails. Do Peter Pan's flight if you have time because it is unique to the other ones I've experienced. It's very, very modern and actually incorporate some new scenes. Pirates of the Caribbean is hands down the most impressive ride in the parks. You absolutely have to do that. I think that's what Shanghai Disney is actually most known for, is Pirates of the Caribbean, and for good reason. It's incredible. Voyage of the Crystal Grotto, Zootopia Hot Pursuit. Inside the castle, you'll find Once Upon a Time Adventure. It's basically a really modern walkthrough story of Snow White. Super, super cool, and usually only has a 5 to 10 minute wait. And if you have time, the Roaring Rapids attraction is their water attraction. It's very, very cool, but don't wait too long in it. I've never gotten wet on this ride, so I would say skip a poncho at your own risk. Other than attractions, I would say if the Eye of the Storm Stunt Spectacular is playing, you have to do it. It is amazing. I went on my first trip and my mind was totally blown. Unfortunately, it was not open on this more recent trip, which I'm really, really sad, but if you have any chance to do that, make time for it. You won't regret it. The parades at Shanghai Disney are also absolutely worth waiting for. They are incredible. The music is so catchy. I love them. Fireworks are also absolutely worth waiting for. Again, the crowds really, really get packed and it can be very stressful. I would recommend getting near the castle as far as an hour, hour and a half early. You'll get a great spot. One thing to know is that if you're very close to the castle, you're required to sit down. Nobody is allowed to stand. That way everyone can see, which is great, but sitting on pavement for an hour, hour and a half can be kind of difficult. So just be prepared for that. If you can't sit that long, stand just slightly behind all the sitting people and you'll have a great view. I did mention this earlier, but Mickey's Storybook Adventure, if you can handle the crowds, is totally worth seeing at least once. What can you skip if you're limited on time at Shanghai Disneyland? I think if you have to make some cuts, you could skip the copies like Dumbo. They also have something called the Jetpacks, which is basically the Orbitron. You could skip Buzz Lightyear, which is basically the same laser game. It is very modern and really fun, but it's a similar concept as in all the other parks that have this attraction. I personally basically skipped Toy Story Land altogether. It's very similar to Hong Kong Disney or Disneyland Paris. If those are your home parks, you can absolutely skip Shanghai's version. If you only have Toy Story Land in Florida, I would say check it out. They have RC Racer, which is called Rex's Racer in this park, Slinky Dog Spin, and Woody's Roundup, all three which are unique to Shanghai Disneyland compared to Florida's version. If you're a Florida native, skip Seven Dwarfs, like I said. Soaring you can skip. Winnie the Pooh. Tron, again, is in Magic Kingdom now, so less of a draw if you have access to that. And the Frozen Sing-Along, which is very similar to what is in Disney's Hollywood Studios, but it is in Chinese, so that is very interesting. Some random questions I got on Instagram regarding Shanghai Disneyland. Let's go over those really quickly. I got asked about squat toilets. Shanghai Disneyland does have squat toilets, but they also have traditional Western toilets as well, so you can choose which one is preferable for you. I got asked a very interesting question about if there is audio translation available for the attractions. No, there was not. That doesn't take away from my enjoyment personally. You're able to kind of piece together what the story is saying, but all the signs in the park have English typically on them, and often the cast members or the attraction will go between Chinese and English back and forth, so you're able to kind of piece together what's happening. I really didn't find it a barrier for my enjoyment. I think that's everything. I hope this helps you plan and be more confident about your trip to Shanghai Disneyland. I know I kind of made it a little bit scary with the crowds, but honestly, this park is beautiful. It is huge, so be prepared to walk. All the attractions are extremely modern and incredible. If you do have questions, please leave them below. I'm happy to answer. Like I said, I've been there twice now. I feel like I've gotten more and more familiar with the park. I also have quite a few friends who go there regularly who are locals, so I can always inquire with them if I can't answer anything. If this helps you, please hit the like button. If you want to see more, please subscribe. I also have a question and answer all about Hong Kong Disney. Please check out that video if you're also heading there on a trip, because it is quite easy to pair Shanghai and Hong Kong Disney on one vacation. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, guys. Bye!